Hello and welcome to today's episode of Chronicles of a Nigerian Woman. My name is Fagbeja and today I'll be reading Maria's story. Growing up, my parents were part of a group of friends who had all known each other from their university days. They belonged to a large Christian grammar group that had members in 3 different university campuses. Over the 5 years of the group's existence, they gathered almost 100 members, and they used to meet up once or twice a year for a retreat. They also traveled to each campus for rehearsals from time to time and performed together on various other campuses. From my parents' stories, it was clear that they had fun. Many of them married within the group, and most of them stayed in contact with one another, especially those who lived in the same cities. We lived in Lagos, as did many others, so I met quite a number of them. There were about 5 couples my parents were particularly close to. All the men had been members of the group, and even though 2 of them had wives from outside the group, they all remained close and organized monthly meetups from house to house. We also got to meet at family events like birthdays and other celebrations. Dolakpo was the son of one of the couples, and we were about the same age. I had known him all my life. We literally grew up together till we were about 9 when their family moved to Canada. I know our parents still kept in touch, but we kids all lost touch. I had no idea what was going on with them. In fact, after a while, I only remembered their names because my parents mentioned them to us occasionally. Anyway, time passed. I finished secondary school and went to university in London, after which I stayed back and started working there. I was about 24 and had been in London for about 6 years when I met Chris. He had just been transferred from the US as part of a team to set up a branch of their company in London. We met at a church singles event and we became friends, no strings attached. He was a very nice guy, quite easygoing, very focused and committed to God. He was good as a friend, but I did not feel much else for him, even though I knew he wanted more. So, we just remained good friends. About a year after we met, he invited me over to his place, where he and some of his other friends were having a summer barbecue. When I got there were about 8 other people, both male and female. One of the other guys looked vaguely familiar, but nothing clicked until he introduced him as Dolakpo, his best friend. Dolakpo Akinchide, I asked. The guy looked at me surprised till I introduced myself as Toyin Orefua. His eyes grew wide. Oh my goodness, I would never have recognized you. You look so different. We were kids, I said as I smiled. And your name? Chris introduced you as Maria. Yes, that's my middle name, and that's what I use now. He was there with his girlfriend, so he introduced her to me, and Chris introduced me to everyone else. He and Chris had attended school together in the US, and he had come on holiday to the UK to see him. His girlfriend had family in the UK too, and used the opportunity to visit as well. Dolakpo and I spent a lot of the time that evening remembering our younger years and catching up on what we had been up to over the years. I really had a good time there that day and I was glad I went. About a week later, Dolakpo called and we spoke for quite a while. We also organized a meetup once with his girlfriend and Chris before he returned to the US. After Dolakpo returned to the US, he started calling me often. At first, we would talk once in 2 weeks or so, but the calls soon became as frequent as twice a week, and we would spend hours sometimes in spite of the time difference. It was clear after a while that something was developing between us. At some point, He asked me about my relationship with Chris, and I told him we could never be anything more than just friends. I also asked about his girlfriend, and that's when he told me that since we met again and started talking, he had been distracted from the relationship and he planned to call it off. This was almost 4 months after we met at Chris's house. I felt bad that I would be the cause of their breakup, but I also felt so strongly drawn to him that I could not let it go. The only condition I gave him was that I would not commit to a relationship with him until he called off things with her, and he promised he would. He also said he would need to speak with Chris because he knew how he still hoped that I would eventually come around. The fact that he was taking charge of things endeared him to me even more. It was about 2 weeks later that I got a call from a number I did not recognize. It was Dolakpo's girlfriend. I was surprised and immediately became cautious, but I listened to her. The summary of what she said was that Dolakpo was only hanging around me because we were childhood friends, and that she had the benefit of proximity to him and would use it to her advantage. I guess she expected me to fight back, but all I said was that she needed to address her concerns to Dolakpo, as I had no business with her. She was going to continue, but I dropped the call and blocked off her number. I called Dolakpo and he apologized and said he would handle her. I guess he did, because I never heard from her again. Up till then, we hadn't mentioned anything to our parents. His parents didn't know when he came to London, and he told me as much, so I did not say anything to my parents either. Their reactions when we finally told them are best imagined. They were so happy. We got married about 18 months after we first met at Chris's party. We had the traditional wedding in Nigeria and the white wedding in the US, and Chris was our best man. We've been married for about 4 years now, and we have 1 son. Our marriage is great, but sometimes I think our parents are even more excited about it than we are. They never seem to get tired of telling the story and of expressing their joy about how things turned out. Was it destiny or was it chance? I don't know. I'm just focused on having a good time with my husband and enjoying the phenomenal care from my second parents. What are your thoughts about the way things turned out with Maria and Dolakpo? Should she have done things differently when it comes to his girlfriend? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Remember to hit that subscribe button and to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos.